Do you like the Oakland A's? Are you a fan of the Golden Knights? Do you love the Los Angeles Chargers? Well then, my friend, you're in the right place. This is the Snake Sports Talk Show with your host, Jake the Snake Silva, brought to you by the Spotlight Sports Network.
What's going on, Bold Gang? It's your one and only Jake the Snake Silva from the Snake Sports Talk Show on the Spotlight Sports Network, giving you guys another Chargers video here today. If it's your first time actually coming up with this video, I highly suggest liking, subscribing, following, and hitting the bell button for all of the latest notifications on everything play-by-play streams, highlights, news, talks, analysis, and so much more on everything for your Los Angeles Chargers. Really do appreciate it, you guys, and we appreciate all of the support and love you guys give on a daily basis. In this video today, we have already discussed about the brand new head coach at the helm, Brandon Staley. And let me just tell you, the interview went spectacular. This is definitely a guy that is willing to make change and is a guy that is willing to put the Chargers back on the map, back to being competitive, and bringing the absolute best with Justin Herbert at his second year at quarterback. Now, since we talked about the head coach earlier, let's start to get into some new recruits that we ended up getting for the coaching coordinating positions. Now, the Chargers did a complete sweep of all of the coordinators, so we're starting now to get some fresh new blood and hopefully some different innovative coaches as well for our coordinating position. Now, we're going to start with the one coordinator that I think was really, really good, and I think he was an interesting pickup. I didn't really exactly get too much of the idea with this coordinating pick for the defense, but I still think it solidifies well. The Chargers ended up hiring defensive backs coach Renaldo Hill. Now, Renaldo Hill was a former first-round pick in 2001 and was also a long-time Denver Bronco back in years ago. And since then, Renaldo Hill has earned his credit in his career, not to mention doing a lot of his time around with coaching and not to mention developing a lot of defensive backs over the years. Now, Renaldo Hill has a close relationship with one particular Charger, and that is Chris Harris. Chris Harris, who spent a long time with the Denver Broncos, including winning a Super Bowl with them in 2015. Renaldo Hill brings a lot of really good intensity, and I think the whole basis of this, Brandon Staley is a defensive-minded coach. Bringing a guy who is a defensive backs coach from the Denver Broncos only gives you one thing. The biggest fix of them is going to be the secondaries. And that's going to bring the absolute best out of Derwin James, Rayshon Jenkins, Michael Davis, and hopefully some more along the way. And this also may indicate a few free agents on the market that I think could potentially be satisfied with this coaching move of bringing in Renaldo Hill as a defensive coordinator. Maybe a free agent that's out there with the Denver Broncos, Justin Simmons, and possibly Troy Hill and a bunch of others from the LA Rams. Now, the other coordinator that ended up getting hired, and I thought this was a really, really good one, it was very interesting, was that the Chargers hired former assistant special teams coach Derius Swinton from the Arizona Cardinals. Derius Swinton, what's very interesting about him, and looking back at it, he's been a special teams coordinator once before with the San Francisco 49ers in 2016 and improved their unit from the 27th special teams in the league and ended up jumping into 2015 where they were ranked 17th. This is a huge jump for the Chargers because another one of the issues that they've been having since last year was special teams. Too many times that punts ended up getting blocked. Too many times that guys have miscommunicated on kickoffs and so much more, and not stepping up on stopping the run backs after the kickoffs. And that is exactly what Derius Swinton's going to end up bringing to the table. Now, of course, here's the interesting background, because he also did start his longtime NFL coaching career with the St. Louis Rams before moving to Los Angeles as a special teams quality control coach at the time, before ended up getting the promotion of being assistant special teams coach, and now officially being a special teams coach for the Los Angeles Chargers. And I think he's going to bring a lot of really, really good things to the table, hoping to at least clean up all of the miscommunication, helping to bring out guys like possibly Joe Reed that I would like to see get more returns on the punts and the kicks, and maybe shifting back and forth between him and KJ Hill as well on the punt returns. Now, one in particular that I thought was very interesting, I personally was not a fan of this move, but the biggest one was definitely the offensive coordinating position. Now, I know for myself and for a lot of Charger fans, it was disappointing to see Pep Hamilton and Shane Steichen to be walked out the building and going and trying new jobs. I wish them the absolute best of luck to them, especially with Pep Hamilton being the quarterback whisperer that really helped in the development of Justin Herbert, and Shane Steichen, who really got this offense rolling and being 8th in the league last year. Now the Chargers are moving in a different direction, and they're going to hire former quarterbacks coach for the New Orleans Saints, Joe Lombardi. I was not a big fan of this hiring, and there were a few cases of why. But, however, what's interesting about the relationship between Lombardi and Brandon Staley, Staley used to play quarterback at Dayton, and that was after Lombardi used to coach the defensive line at Dayton at the time. Now, also, he was an offensive coordinator at Mercyhurst when Staley was quarterback there in his final collegiate season. So the two of them have a very special bonding relationship with as far as quarterback coach, and it brings them a long, long way. Now, Joe Lombardi, of course, being Vince Lombardi's grandson, who would have known, right? Well, he was an offensive coordinator before with the Detroit Lions in 14-15. Now, their offenses for the Detroit Lions, we know all about that, working with Matthew Stafford, Megatron, and so much others, but of course having to try to fix up and clean up the offensive line. Now, those offensive ranks were 22nd in points and 19th in yards in 2014. But in 2015, the points were 18th and the yards went to 20th. My only concern about this, the offense last year under Shane Steichen was 8th in the league. And this was a team that was big on passing. This was a team that also recovered well and was also running efficiently with the football. This is one that I think is going to be very interesting to see. I hope that I do see the absolute best out of Justin Herbert. There have been rumors that Joe Lombardi is not going to have too much control into the development of Justin Herbert. Instead, Brandon Staley is going to end up working a little bit more alongside that to help keep the development intact and at the same time bring the absolute best in Justin Herbert. Now, I know that these numbers are not attractive, but at the same time, you think about a guy who's had experiences with Matthew Stafford and also had an experience with Drew Brees. This is going to be interesting, and it would be great to seeing some of those experiences being put in the table for Justin Herbert to grow and to thrive as a big-time quarterback in this league. We've been seeing this with Patrick Mahomes. We've been seeing this with Josh Allen. We've been seeing this with Kyler Murray and so many others in the league. And I think experience really does speak a lot of volumes. I'm not sure as far as the rankings and the stats go, but I'm hoping that they do favor out very, very well for the Chargers moving forward. Now, this is an interesting coaching staff that's going in for the Chargers. Now, a couple of other reports as well of some small coaches along the way. Now, the Chargers are reportedly hiring defensive line coach Jay Rodgers. Now, Jay Rodgers won the defensive line coach of the year in 2018 with the Chicago Bears, and he was responsible for the developments of a lot of really, really good guys, especially there in that Chicago front line to the linebackers. And what's interesting about Jay Rodgers is he had been the defensive line for the Bears since 2015 and had been working to developing them, getting better, getting to the quarterback very quickly. This will be interesting to see how the defensive line really works out for them, because think about it. Justin Jones, Linval Joseph, Jerry Tillery, who stepped up in a big way. So you would think with the amount of talent that the Chicago Bears had on defense, this will be interesting for Jay Rodgers to come into Los Angeles, develop these young core guys, and of course a couple of veterans on that front line, and help them to be more aggressive, especially on blitzes, and also pushing back the offensive line to make the pockets uncomfortable for opposing quarterbacks. I think this will be very interesting. But I do believe that Jay Rodgers will have a big impact for this defensive line, and I think would help to get to really develop and bring the absolute best for the Chargers defensive line moving forward. And lastly, the one assistant that Brandon Staley is bringing along from the LA Rams, that is Joe Barry. Now, Joe Barry, he's going to be working on the defensive passing game coordinator and linebackers coach. What does this mean? This means that Joe Barry has some really good experiences with as far as coverages, and not to mention working and developing these linebackers. We've seen what they've done for the LA Rams this past season, where they were the number one defense in all of the league. Now, what Joe Barry does bring to the table from here, he was, in fact, the Chargers linebackers coach from 2011 to 2014. So a little bit of a reunite, but just in a different location from San Diego to Los Angeles. And he was then promoted by Washington to become their defensive coordinator from 15 to 16. And had since then been the assistant head coach and the linebackers coach since then. Now, Joe Barry's got a really good resume on him. I think this works really, really good, because the one deficit that has been huge for the Chargers has been the linebacking position, especially when it comes to coverages. We know that we've got guys that can get onto the blitz. Could either utilize Kenneth Murray, who's a tackling machine, utilize a little bit more of Kaiser White. Hopefully at some point, Drew Tranquill will be healthy by next season. And then not to mention Denzel Perryman, who's only on one more year of his contract. This is going to be very interesting and exciting stuff, guys. Now, as I've said, one coach in particular, I'm not very impressed, and I'm not very happy with that move for offense. But you know what? You can't really ask for everything. But I'm really loving the direction that they're going of fixing defense, because they now know and understand that the defense was the absolute liability as to why the Chargers wouldn't be able to hold their leads. They coughed up so many different leads, coughed up a lot of losses because of that. They're hoping to clean this mess up. And with Brandon Staley there at the helm, and with the rest of all of these defensive coordinators, special teams coaches, and he's brought on board, this is really going to help out all of the needs that the Chargers need to fix in order for them to be a complete, balanced team. The offense I'm not particularly worried about, knowing that they have Justin Herbert and they have a really good, efficient run game. But I will be very impressed to see how the Chargers really favor out with all of these coaches. And hopefully, guys, the Chargers will get things going and they'll be back up on the map. And hopefully Brandon Staley can take this team to the promised land. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I really do appreciate it. Once again, like, subscribe, follow, and hit the bell button for all latest notifications on future and past videos as well for everything LA Chargers. Really do appreciate it, you guys. Jake the Snake signing off here. And always remember to bolts up.